The glass feels cold and fragile in my hand, condensation slicking my palm. The air smells like lilies and expensive perfume, too sweet, cloying. Around me, laughter rings out, a bright, brittle sound bouncing off the rented ballroom walls. My smile is fixed, a thin wire stretched across my teeth. My sister, Sarah, glows under the soft lighting, her white dress shimmering, her fiancé beaming beside her. This is her moment, her engagement party, the culmination of her perfect, effortless life. And here I am, an accessory, a footnote in her shining narrative. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me more than you know. She catches my eye across the room, that familiar glint there. Victory mixed with something sharp, something that always seeks the weakest point. We grew up in the same house, shared the same parents, the same genes, but it felt like she was born under a different star, one that granted wishes while mine just watched from afar. Everything came easy for Sarah. Grades, friends, opportunities. And men. Especially men. From the awkward middle school dances where she had a line of boys and I stood by the punch bowl, to college where her dorm room was a revolving door of suitors while I navigated clumsy, heartbreaking first dates, she always had someone. Always. And she never failed to make sure I noticed my own lack. It wasn't just teasing. It was a constant, low hum of comparison, a subtle erosion of my self-worth. "Oh, still single?" she'd ask, eyes wide with mock surprise, years after it stopped being funny. "Haven't found anyone yet?" The implication hung heavy. There was something fundamentally wrong with me, something that made me unlovable, undesirable. I've tried. God, have I tried. Blind dates, dating apps, setting up friends of friends. Each failed attempt felt like another brick added to the wall separating me from the life I craved, the life Sarah seemed to manifest simply by existing. There was the one who ghosted me after 3 weeks, the one who admitted he was still in love with his ex, the one who just faded away. Each time, I'd call my best friend, tears streaming down my face, trying to decipher what was wrong with me. And somewhere, somehow, Sarah would hear about it. Not because I told her, but because news traveled in our small orbit, and she had a knack for sniffing out any perceived failure. Her comments weren't always direct. Sometimes it was a sympathetic sigh. "Oh, honey, I just want you to be happy, to find someone." But the pity in her voice was laced with superiority, a quiet satisfaction that her life was full, overflowing, while mine was waiting. Always waiting. For the right person, the right opportunity, the right moment. The waiting felt like stagnation, like I was stuck in a holding pattern while the rest of the world, and particularly my sister's world, zoomed towards the horizon. I started to believe it myself. Maybe I was just someone who couldn't keep a man, couldn't hold onto happiness, couldn't build a life that felt substantial and secure. The thought was a poison I swallowed slowly, year after year. Then Michael came along. He wasn't like the others. He was quiet, observant. He didn't fill the space with forced charm or endless stories about himself. He listened. He saw the things I tried to hide, the anxieties simmering beneath the surface, the self-doubt I carried like a heavy cloak. He saw the real me, the one I was afraid to show, and he didn't flinch. He just stayed. Our relationship unfolded slowly, deliberately, like a flower opening in the sun. There were no grand gestures at first, just shared meals, long walks, comfortable silences. It felt safe. It felt real. We talked about everything, about our pasts, our fears, our dreams. I told him about Sarah, about the history, the constant competition, the way her words had chipped away at me over the years. He just held my hand, his touch grounding. He didn't offer platitudes or tell me to just ignore her. He understood the deep, historical nature of the wound. We decided to keep our relationship quiet. Not a secret, exactly, but private. We wanted to build our foundation away from the noise, away from the expectations, and definitely away from Sarah's scrutinizing gaze. We dated for over a year before we even told my parents, and only a select few friends knew how serious we were becoming. It was a precious bubble of calm and genuine connection in a world that often felt chaotic and judgmental. This privacy was a shield, a way to protect something pure and good from the potential negativity I knew my sister could bring. I cherished the quiet intimacy, the knowledge that this was ours, uninfluenced by external pressures or competitive dynamics. It felt like building a secret garden in the middle of a concrete jungle. Coming here tonight, to her engagement party, felt like stepping onto a stage where I knew my lines were written for me. The perennial single sister, slightly lost, slightly sad. I'd rehearsed my performance. The enthusiastic congratulations, the compliments on her dress, the feigned interest in their wedding plans. All while trying to project an aura of contentment I didn't always feel, or rather, that felt fragile under her gaze. I wore a dress I loved, did my hair and makeup with extra care, a small act of defiance, a way to feel armed. But armor feels heavy when you're walking into an emotional battleground. I spot her now, making her rounds. Her eyes land on me again. She weaves through the crowd, her fiancé trailing slightly behind, his arm draped possessively around her waist. He seems nice enough, oblivious to the silent war being waged between us. She stops in front of me, her smile widening, not in warmth, but in anticipation. This is it. The moment she's been building towards. "Oh, there you are," she says, her voice pitched just loud enough for a few nearby relatives to hear. She glances down at my empty hand, then back up at me, her eyes full of manufactured sympathy. "Still no one special? Don't worry, your time will come. Eventually." The words hang in the air, light as feathers, but they land like stones in my stomach. It's the eventually that stings, the subtle dismissal of my current life, the implication that I am incomplete, a work in progress that may never be finished. A few aunts and cousins nearby shift uncomfortably, glancing between us. They know the history, the dynamic. They've seen this play out before, 1,000 variations on the same theme. My face feels hot. My smile falters. I search for a witty comeback, a defiant shrug, anything to deflect the sting, but my mind is blank. The old familiar feeling of shame washes over me, a cold tide pulling me under. She leans in closer, lowering her voice slightly, but still audible to the small cluster of onlookers. "Honestly, I don't know what the problem is," she says, her tone dripping with false concern.
"You're fine.
"You just can't seem to keep a man, can you?" The words are a physical blow. They echo the poison I've been fighting for years, spoken aloud by the one person who knows exactly where to strike. "You just can't seem to keep a man, can you?" It's not just about relationships. It's about stability, about being chosen, about building a life that lasts. It's about every job I didn't get, every friendship that drifted away, every time I felt I wasn't enough. It all funnels into this one cruel sentence. The air feels thick, suffocating. I want to run, to disappear, to sink through the floor and vanish. My carefully constructed armor cracks, revealing the raw, vulnerable person underneath. I feel exposed, humiliated, small. All those years of trying, of hoping, of therapy, of trying to build my own confidence independently of her opinion, and in one sentence, she levels it all. The effort feels pointless. She sees the flinch in my eyes, the slight tremor in my hand holding the glass. A flicker of genuine satisfaction crosses her face before she masks it with that pitying smile again. She has landed her blow, and it feels devastating. The party swirls around me, the music a distant throb, the laughter a mocking chorus. I feel trapped in a bubble of my own humiliation. Every conversation I try to have feels strained, every smile fake. I see my sister across the room, holding court, radiant, untouchable. Her words replay in my mind. "You just can't seem to keep a man, can you?" It's not just an observation. It's a condemnation. It feels like she's saying I am fundamentally flawed, incapable of forming lasting bonds, unworthy of stable love. And in that moment, surrounded by couples celebrating commitment, surrounded by her perfect, curated happiness, I almost believe her. The failures of my past relationships parade before me, the misunderstandings, the incompatibilities, the times I felt I wasn't seen or appreciated. They all confirm her cruel assessment. My early struggles weren't just about finding someone. They were about finding my place in the world, about proving my worth, not just to others, but to myself. Her comment strips away all the progress I thought I'd made, leaving me feeling exposed and inadequate again. I retreat to the edge of the room, near a large window overlooking the city lights. They twinkle like distant stars, indifferent to the small, intense drama unfolding within these walls. Michael finds me there. He doesn't say anything at first. He just stands beside me, his presence a quiet anchor. He follows my gaze out the window, then looks back at me. His eyes are warm, understanding. He doesn't need me to explain, he saw it. He heard it. He knows the history, the weight of her words. He takes my hand, his thumb tracing slow circles on my skin. "You okay?" he asks softly, his voice barely a whisper against the party noise. I nod, but it's a lie. My throat is tight, my eyes burning. Just reflecting, I manage to say, the dry humor failing me. He turns to face me fully, his hands now holding both of mine. "I heard her," he says, his voice losing its softness, a steely edge entering it. "I heard what she said." I shrug, trying to appear nonchalant, trying to minimize the damage. "It's fine. She's just Sarah." "No," he says firmly, shaking his head slightly. "It's not fine. And it's not just Sarah being Sarah. It's cruel. And it's not true." His absolute certainty cuts through the haze of my self-pity. He believes in me. He sees me differently than she does. He sees the person capable of love, capable of commitment, capable of building a future. This is the midpoint shift, the crucial turning point where the weight of her words begins to feel less crushing because someone else's belief is heavier. He is offering me a lifeline, not of pity, but of unwavering support and love. In the midst of my deepest crisis, surrounded by the evidence of her apparent victory, his presence is a quiet rebellion. He lets go of my hands and steps back slightly, turning his gaze towards the center of the room where Sarah is still holding court. A new look comes into his eyes, one I haven't seen before, a mixture of protective anger and a quiet, determined purpose. He smiles, but it's a different kind of smile, not warm but sharp, knowing. "You know," he says, his voice returning to that soft whisper, meant only for me. "I was planning on doing this later. Somewhere private. Just us." My heart gives a little lurch. I have an inkling of what he's about to say, but my mind can't quite catch up. Not here. Not now. Not after what she just said. He squeezes my arm gently. "But maybe," he continues, his eyes still fixed on Sarah, a slow smile spreading across his face, "maybe now is the perfect time." He starts to walk towards the raised platform where the DJ booth and microphone are set up for speeches later. My breath catches in my throat. What is he doing? Is he really going to do this? Here? Now? My mind races. The sheer audacity of it. The timing. The public nature. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. This is the turning point, the moment the narrative shifts from my humiliation to something entirely unexpected. It's a decision born of love and a quiet fury, a rejection of the narrative my sister has tried to impose on my life. He reaches the platform, catches the eye of the DJ, who looks surprised, then nods. Michael takes the microphone. The music fades slightly, a ripple of confusion passing through the crowd. My sister turns, her smile expectant, assuming it's her turn for some impromptu congratulations. She has no idea. Absolutely no idea what is about to happen. He taps the microphone. A low feedback hum resonates through the room. Conversations quieten. All eyes turn towards the platform. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the sudden hush. My sister is watching, a curious tilt to her head. She thinks this is about her, of course. Everything, in her world, always is. The air is thick with anticipation, but the crowd's anticipation is for the next chapter of her celebration. They have no idea they are about to witness a completely different story unfold. Michael stands tall under the spotlight. He looks directly at me, across the sea of faces. His gaze is steady, filled with so much love and certainty it takes my breath away. His lips curve into a genuine, soft smile now, the sharp edge gone, reserved only for her, for the moment he looked at her. For me, it is pure tenderness. "Good evening, everyone," he says, his voice amplified, filling the ballroom. It sounds calm, confident. My sister beams, preening slightly, ready to accept the praise she assumes is coming. "I know tonight is about Sarah and David," Michael continues, and a ripple of agreement passes through the crowd. Sarah nods graciously. "And they are a wonderful couple, and we're all so happy for them." He pauses, and his eyes find mine again. The smile deepens. "But there's someone else here tonight that I need to talk about." He turns slightly, his body now angled towards me. The entire room follows his gaze. I feel myself flush, the heat rising from my neck to my hairline. My sister's smile freezes. Her eyes narrow slightly, confusion clouding her face. The festive atmosphere in the room shifts, a palpable wave of surprise and curiosity sweeping through the crowd. "For a long time," Michael says, his voice taking on a deeper, more personal tone, "I watched this incredible woman navigate the world with grace and strength, even when the world, and sometimes the people closest to her, tried to make her feel less than." He pauses, and his eyes flick towards Sarah for just a fraction of a second before returning to me. The message is clear. Sarah's face is a mask of disbelief, her cheeks losing their color. "She is the kindest person I know," Michael continues, his voice thick with emotion. "The most resilient, the most beautiful, inside and out." His voice cracks slightly on the last word, and my own eyes well up. "She deserves all the happiness in the world. She deserves to be loved completely, without reservation, without question." He steps down from the platform, walking towards me, moving through the stunned crowd. Their faces are a blur as they part for him. Sarah is standing rigid, utterly blindsided, her mouth slightly open. Her fiancé looks from her to Michael, bewildered. Michael stops in front of me. He reaches into his jacket pocket. My breath hitches. Time seems to slow down. The music has stopped completely now. The silence in the room is deafening, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. He gets down on one knee. He opens a small box. Inside, a ring glints under the ballroom lights. It's simple, elegant, exactly what I never knew I wanted. He looks up at me, his eyes shining. "You told me once that you couldn't keep a man," he says, his voice clear and strong, aimed not just at me, but at the entire room, at my sister. "You couldn't be more wrong." And then he says the words that shatter the narrative, that rewrite the story, that land like a thunderclap in the charged silence. "Will you marry me?" The question hangs in the air, a vibrant, thrilling defiance. My sister gasps, a sharp, strangled sound. Her hand flies to her mouth. Her eyes are wide, not with joy or surprise, but with shock, with fury, with the dawning, horrible realization that her carefully constructed moment has just been utterly, spectacularly hijacked. She is blindsided. She thought she was humiliating me. Instead, she has just witnessed my public, irrefutable triumph, not just over her words, but over the insecurity she tried to instill in me. My victory is not just about finding a man. It's about finding someone who sees my worth and declares it to the world, silencing the cruel whispers of the past. And it's happening at her party, in her spotlight, making her moment about me. The plot twist is complete. She aimed to tear me down, and instead, she became the unwitting backdrop for the most beautiful, validating moment of my life. The stunned silence holds for another second, then erupts into cheers, applause, a wave of excited chatter. People surge towards us, smiling, crying, congratulating me. I am surrounded by warmth and genuine happiness. I barely register it. All I see is Michael, on one knee, his face alight with love. All I hear is his question. Tears stream down my face now, but they are not tears of shame or sadness. They are tears of pure, overwhelming joy, of disbelief, of vindication. I nod, I laugh, I choke out the word. Yes. He slides the ring onto my finger. It fits perfectly. He stands up and pulls me into a fierce hug, lifting me off my feet. The crowd roars. People are clapping, whistling, some are even crying happy tears. It's a whirlwind of emotion and noise. Through the chaos, I see her, my sister. She is standing frozen, a few feet away, forgotten in the sudden shift of attention. Her fiancé is awkwardly trying to comfort her, but she brushes him off. Her face is contorted, not with joy for me, but with pure, unadulterated rage and humiliation. And then the tears come. Not the quiet, graceful tears of a happy sister, but angry, frustrated tears, tears of thwarted malice and public defeat. She didn't just shed a tear. She crumpled, visibly, her shoulders shaking, her face buried in her hands. She is crying because her narrative is broken. She is crying because her weapon was turned against her. She is crying because my happiness, declared so boldly, so unexpectedly, so publicly, has utterly eclipsed hers. Her moment is gone, stolen not by malicious planning on my part, but by the sheer force of unexpected, genuine love reacting against her cruelty. This isn't just karma. It's a precise, immediate counterstrike delivered by fate, or maybe just by a man who loved me enough to rewrite the script on the spot. The rest of the night is a blur. Champagne flows. Congratulations are showered upon us. Michael introduces me as his fiancé to everyone we see, his pride palpable. The air has changed. It's lighter, brighter, filled with a different kind of energy than before. I float through the room, the ring on my finger a dazzling symbol of this sudden, beautiful shift. I see my sister occasionally, huddled with her fiancé and a few close friends, her face red and blotchy, still crying. I feel a pang, a complex mix of emotions. Part of me, the part that grew up competing with her, feels a cold, satisfying sense of victory. She tried to diminish me, and instead, her cruelty was the catalyst for my greatest public moment. But another part of me, the part that remembers childhood sleepovers and shared secrets before the bitterness set in, feels a flicker of sadness for the sister I've lost and for the depth of whatever insecurity drives her to try and tear me down. Her tears feel performative and genuine all at once, genuine in their expression of her pain at being upstaged, performative in that they are shed in front of witnesses, a last-ditch attempt to garner sympathy when her malice backfired. Later, as we drive home, the city lights blurring past the car windows, the silence is different from the one I shared with Michael earlier. It's a comfortable silence, filled with the quiet hum of shared shock and exhilaration. I rest my head on his shoulder, the weight of the day, the years of history, finally lifting. "Are you okay?" he asks again, his voice soft in the darkness. "More than okay," I whisper, squeezing his hand. "Thank you." He pulls over to the side of the road, the city lights casting a warm glow inside the car. He turns to face me, gently cupping my face in his hands. "Don't ever let anyone," he says, his voice fierce with protective love, "especially not her, make you feel like you are anything less than perfect. You are everything." He kisses me, and in that kiss, I feel the weight of all the years of self-doubt, all the cruel words, all the perceived failures, finally dissolving. The sting of my sister's mockery is still there, a faint echo, a scar. But it no longer defines me. Her attempt to bring me low only served to highlight how high I could soar, how loved I was, how truly seen. The tears she shed were the culmination of her own undoing, a public display of her inability to bear witness to my happiness. My relationship with my sister will likely never be the same. The line has been crossed, the truth revealed in the most public way possible. The competition didn't end. It simply entered a new, more complicated phase. But for the first time, I feel like I'm not just surviving her attacks, I'm thriving despite them. I've found my person, my peace, my own quiet strength that no amount of mockery can diminish. The scar remains, a reminder of the battles fought, but the ring on my finger is a symbol of the love that heals, the love that validates, the love that wins. And as I look out at the city lights, shimmering like 1,000 tiny possibilities, I know this isn't just the end of a story. It's the beginning of mine, written by me, alongside the man who saw me, truly saw me, and loved me enough to tell the world. If this story hit close to home, I'd love to hear your version. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these to life.